Hi everyone. I hope you're all well. I hope lockdown's treating you well. I hope you're all staying safe and sane during these awful times. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dion. I'm kind of just working with Ohrsom now as the point of communication between you guys, you students who are interested in going on the program and wanting to know more about it, and those who essentially run it over in South Africa. Just before we started getting into the details about the gap year program, I wanted to explain what Ohrsom Student is as an organization, because I'm sure many of you have probably heard of it by now, but are a little bit confused as to what they actually do and why they exist. So Ohrsom Student, it's essentially a multifaceted organization. They aim to engage post-high school students with their Judaism and with Israel. So what they do is they aim for self-growth through extrapolating contemporary Jewish values and holistically applying them to a student's life. So typically many young Jewish people from all different types of schools, even non-Jewish schools, they'll come together at Ohrsom. Usually they'll be introduced to Ohrsom through the 2-week Israel trip that they offer in June or July. But we'll all come together at the Ohrsom Center and we'll all get together to discuss important topics with the rabbis and the rebbitzins, as well as anyone who's really there, and just enjoy our time together socially, all leading to that ultimate goal of self-growth and personal development. So just quickly what they offer as an organization. So as I said before, a 2-week trip to Israel in July, weekly self-growth sessions on a Monday night, a more comprehensive 4-week Ohrsom 2.0 trip in Israel in December, other leadership opportunities, and of course, a gap year program for students just out of high school, which is obviously what we'll be talking about today. So just before I get started into the nitty-gritty details of everything, I wanted to kind of touch point and mention, basically based on my experience when I was deciding on whether or not to go on a gap year program and weighing out my options and reasons as to why my friends wanted to go on a gap year, but not necessarily a gap year program. There were basically 3 main reasons as to why people didn't want to go on a gap year program anymore. The first reason would have been because they wanted to live independently. The second reason would have been they wanted to go to Europe. And the third reason would have been they want work experience or some sort of real world work experience or volunteering experience. And essentially what's so great about Ohrsom is they listen to that, they understand that, they know that that's what students want, and they flip it all in their head and they say, we understand that this is what you guys want to do, so we're just going to offer that to you on a silver platter, which is really amazing. So in terms of wanting, I'll get into more detail about this later on in the presentation, but in terms of wanting to live independently, you'll be able to live in the shuk in Jerusalem in your own apartment for the entire duration of the program. So it's a 9-month program from starting in February to October. And that whole time, that apartment in Jerusalem that you'll share with a few other people, that's your home for the 9 months. That is your base. There's no one there watching over you. It's all up to you to maintain that apartment in the way you want, but that'll be your home. Also, in terms of the Europe trip, Ohrsom offers an amazing Europe experience for a month within the program. And also in terms of work experience, which we'll touch on a little bit later, Ohrsom partners up with J Internship, which is the largest facilitator of internships in Israel, which is pretty huge. And they sit down with you and discuss everything about your career prospects, your hobbies, your skills, your interests, whatever it is. And they will assign you to an organization, a company, a startup, a not-for-profit, whatever it may be, that tailors towards your interests. So essentially the real goal of the trip is to ensure that you guys are growing as an independent adult, developing your character traits, delving into Jewish learning like never before in a way that it can really relate to your own personal life. So the gap year program, it's a 9-month program starting in February, finishing in October. It's offered to both South African and Australian students. So the program is done together. Students are based in Jerusalem in well-kept high-end apartments, as we said, and also a variety of opportunities for all students, which is what we'll get into. So with the gap year program, there's essentially three main components or three main pillars to the program. The first being education, the second being travel, and the third being experimental development. So what they do under the education pillar, what you guys will be able to experience is quite a few things. So the first thing would be Jewish learning. So, excuse me, you'll have the opportunity to attend a variety of different Jewish educational institutions, where you'll delve into Jewish learning really in a way that I'm sure you haven't done so before. So it can be interesting and engaging and relatable to you guys. So that's essentially done in small periods of a week or two, but it does culminate to about 2 to 3 months of the entire program. So essentially the way it works, you'll engage in half-day learning and followed by a lunch that's provided by Ohrsom, and then a fun afternoon activity after that. And then your night will be free, which I think is the case for almost all of the nights. And also the learning isn't necessarily restricted to text-based materials. It can just be maybe they have a really engaging speaker that wants to talk to you about a really cool story, or they'll have people on a panel that you want to talk to about and ask questions and all that stuff. But it all really kind of relates back to that goal or that intention to broaden your own knowledge and help you grow into young adults. So that's the Jewish learning aspect. Also, as I said before, there's internships that are offered. So that's through J internship, where they'll sit down with you and kind of figure out all your career prospects, your interests, all that kind of stuff, so that they can partner you up with a company or an organization, a not-for-profit, whatever it may be, and you'll be doing that internship for about a month, which would be a really cool experience. Also, they offer MDA, Magen David Adom, which I'm sure you've already heard in the other presentations, but that's essentially the Israeli ambulance service. So you'll be able to take part in a 6-week immersive experience, starting with a 10-day course, which after the completion of that course, you will become qualified basic first responders, which is awesome. You'll then be placed in shifts in ambulances, where you'll be responding alongside practice paramedics to real life emergencies. So there have been students in the past who have delivered babies, performed CPR, really anything out of the ordinary to help save someone's life, which is really cool. And of course, in terms of real world education, there's the independent living, which is for the entire program. It's not just a set time where you'll be doing independent living, it's the whole time. So you'll live in a group in an apartment centered in the heart of Jerusalem, right where the Shuk is, an unbelievable location. You'll all be responsible for cleaning up after yourselves, cooking, buying groceries, changing sheets, doing your laundry, everything that comes under the umbrella of independence. Ohrsom does provide 3 meals a day for you every day of the year. However, they will empower you to cook your own meals, so that by the end of the year, you can just be given a budget and you can go off grocery shopping and just cook all your meals as you should. So that's essentially all the education component to the program. Then we have travel. As you can see on the 2 arrows, it says Europe and India. In terms of India, right now, that's probably definitely not going to happen, which is a shame. But I think that there's a replacement in the works potentially. We're not entirely sure at the moment, but we'll definitely update you with that, whether it's just an extended Europe trip or another destination in Israel or just another country altogether. But Europe is still definitely a go. Very optimistic about that. So traveling to Europe, you'll spend a week in Poland, which is where you can witness firsthand the devastations of the Holocaust and learn and engage with what Jewish life was pre and post World War II Europe. And then this is still being updated, but based on what students have experienced in the past, they've gone to the Northern Lights in Norway, skydived in Venice, done a cruise around Croatia, visited Berlin, gone to Disneyland in Paris, and gone to Amsterdam as well. So all those experiences all covered for under the program. You'll be doing it all together, which is really, really amazing. And then of course we have experimental development. So those are just like the activities, things you'll be doing when you're not doing the Jewish learning or the internship or MDA or anything like that. So other activities that'll make up your day. So that will be things like a ski trip to the north of Israel on Mount Hermon to learn how to ski or snowboard or perfect your skiing and snowboarding skills. You'll be able to go to a LUT to take part in a scuba diving course where you'll receive your 1-star open water diving certificate. You can all train together to do the Jerusalem Marathon, whether you want to run the 5Ks, the 10Ks, the half marathon or the full marathon, completely up to you, obviously. You'll be doing the Yum Li Yum Sea to Sea multi-day hike. It's a 5-day hike from east to west of Jerusalem, of Israel, which is a really, really great experience. You'll be able to live on a kibbutz, experience a 1-week interactive Sarel course in order to live in the shoes of an IDF soldier. Also, being able to expand your knowledge on the ability to defend and stand up for Israel through Israel education and advocacy programs with the organization Stand With Us. And then also a bunch of other random things like cooking classes, yoga classes, computer courses. You'll do an amazing race around Jerusalem, escape rooms, graffiti tour of Tel Aviv. The list honestly goes on because you do have 9 months, but not a day will go by where you feel that it would be wasted. So yeah, that's essentially the 3 components of the gap year and what it has to offer you. So going through some of the highlights of the year based on what people have experienced in the past. Unfortunately, we're going to have to disregard the tiger safari and hiking the Himalayas because we're not too certain that that's going to happen. However, as we said before, the ski trip on Mount Hermon, scuba diving certificate in Eilat, skydiving in Europe, Northern Lights in Norway, the MDA training and volunteering, Poland trip, working on a kibbutz, and the internship. So just quickly before we get to any questions, I just want to run through kind of what a sample itinerary would look like. Now, please note, please understand this is only a sample itinerary. The dates, they're not 100% accurate at all. They're definitely subject to change. Nothing is confirmed. This is just what the typical program may look like. So going through February, you'll arrive in Israel, you go straight to Mount Hermon for the ski trip, go to Jerusalem for the learning program introduction. You'll do the learning program in the morning, activity in the afternoon, and a free afternoon. And then those activities that we spoke about before are all included. You'll then, towards the end of February, head to Eilat for the scuba diving certification, and then head back to Jerusalem for a Jerusalem trip. March, you'll do more learning program and Jerusalem. And then towards the end of March, you'll do the army training and the Yum Li Yum hike. And then April, there's Pesach. So you'll be doing all things relating to Pesach. I'm sure you'll have a huge Seder, all that. And then after that, going to live on the kibbutz, which is Ein Hanatziv. Disregard India, all that stuff in India, because we're not sure about that. And then mid-May, you'll do the MDA training and the MDA volunteering. Coming to June, more MDA, and then end of June, hopefully joining the Ohrsom Israel trip, the students that are doing the 2-week Israel trip, who will be a couple of years older than you guys. And then mid-July, you'll do the Israel Advocacy and Education Program, learning program and activities. And then coming to August, you'll have the internship program for that whole month. Also probably having a Shabbos in Sfat and all that. September, learning program and activities, and then Poland preparation. Also September is high holidays, so there'll be programs tailored towards that. And then October is the Europe trip that we mentioned before. And then end of October is the end of the program. Pack up and say goodbye. Very sad. So in terms of costing, there's an early bird special that's on now. It's $19,000 US. Price includes all costs, including air travel. In order to lock in that price, it's a non-refundable $1,000 registration fee, and then the remaining $18,000 is paid in monthly installments of $1,800 for the 10 months starting in 1st of January. And then after that expires, the price will jump to $22,000. So the 5 main costs that aren't included based on the past experiences, disregard the visa for now, because I think that's just relating to the Indian visa, but the cell phone contract, which is 40 to 60 shekels a month, personal expenses. So if you want to get a gym membership or your toiletries, restaurants, taxis, all that kind of stuff, or your linen, so the pillows, doona sheets, doona covers, bed sheets, and small tips for bus drivers that they use periodically through the year. So that's all that I really had to say. Obviously, just want to mention with COVID, it's presented everyone with a number of challenges. Obviously, challenges for us as well. But however, as they did last year with the gap year and the gap year that's currently going on now, where we've sent students to Israel, I think a month and a half ago, always be adapting to challenges and going forward and continuing to create amazing program. So obviously still expecting the program to go forward. And should that you guys be unable to travel internationally, alternate program will be substituted in. And in the unfortunate, unlikely case that the program is cancelled completely, the registration fee will be refunded. Is there any questions? Sorry, I kind of rambled on there.
So there are a couple of questions. So the first one is, how big is the whole group typically?
Typically, I'm going to have to say maybe up to, considering they're taking Australian students and South African students, maybe 100 people. That's definitely not a confirmation. I'm not 100% sure, but I can definitely get back to you on that.
So there's a question in the chat as well. When does the early bird special expire?
So we don't have that date at the moment. I apologize for that, but I will hopefully get that to you when we have it. But just as I reckon it'll be still going for the next couple of months, few months, but I will confirm that for you.
So there are a couple other questions. So do you leave the program for Europe? I'm not too sure what that is meant to mean, but.
What, sorry, leave the program before Europe?
It says, do you leave the program before Europe?
No, I don't think so. I think it's all kind of done together. Yeah, I don't think you'd be leaving anywhere. I just want to quickly mention, these are the South African, this is the South African contact details on the screen and my contact details as well. Just take that down if you want to get in contact with me with any questions, and email your interest to info@ohrsomstudent.com.au. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen just so I can look at the questions.
Yes, I'll let you look at them and then you can answer them yourself.
Okay. What supervision is there? So I think that they have, they will have a couple rabbis with you guys, maybe a couple from South Africa, a couple from Australia, and then maybe a couple MUDs as well. But that supervision is really just while you're on doing the program and the activities. You know, when it comes to being on your own in the independent living or enjoying your free afternoon or your free night, there's no real supervision at all. It's just do what you really want to. And
sorry, we've just got quite a lot of questions. Sorry, we really are very, very pressed for time. The next one that I was going to mention before. So the question is, the price including air travel? Is that air travel from Oz or just the Europe air travel?
No, I'm pretty sure it covers the Australian air travel as well. But I will confirm that with you guys as well. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it covers all air travel.
The next one is, are there free weekends where you can visit family?
Yes, I'm going to say yes, that there would be.
And then also, do you organize group bookings for travel from Melbourne?
Not sure, but I will get back to you on that. I'm going to write all these questions down.
We've only got a couple more minutes. So I'm just going to try and run through as many as I can today. So what is the rough gender split?
The gender split, I don't know, it's just naturally what happens really, whoever signs up, hoping that there will be a decent split, but yeah, don't have a real answer for that.
You sort of answered it before, just because you don't have the pre-register date yet, but the question is, when do you need to register by, if you have, or you still haven't finalized that yet?
Yeah, we haven't finalized that at the moment, but I wouldn't rush to it. There's no real rush at the moment. We are going to have our own Ohrsom information night in a couple of weeks, so these questions will definitely be answered then more properly.
I'm sorry, we've only probably got time for a couple more. The next one is there any religious foundation to the program, like keeping Shabbat, etc.? I think you explained.
It's all up to you. If you want to choose to keep Shabbat, you can keep Shabbat. But again, there's no real agenda, no religious agenda. I mean, of course, there's the Jewish learning, but it's Jewish learning kind of tailored towards you guys about relating to your own personal development, but no one's forcing anyone to keep Shabbos, wear a kippah all the time, any of that kind of stuff. It's all really, really in your hands.
And then how much free time is there on the program? Is another question.
Don't have specifics of how much free time, but essentially first half of the day, whatever it is that you're doing, when they have activities planned for you, like the Jewish learning or the internships, MDA, experiences like the ski trip and scuba diving course, that's all typically done in the first half of the day. Second half of the day, they might organize another activity for you, or you can just have your own free time and go do what you want. And I'm going to say that the night is usually just free to do what you want, but I can't confirm that at the moment.
So just the last question, because we are really pressed for time. Is this for only Australian and South African students?
Yeah, only for Australian and South African students.
Amazing. Dion, thank you so much. I'm sorry we were very pressed for time at the end there. Do you want to maybe just type in your contact details in the chat function there so just people can take it down? Because then we actually do need to go straight into our next session because we are running quite over time. I just wanted people to be able to answer the questions. So if you just put your details there in the Q&A, too easy. Dion, thank you so much for presenting.
Thanks,
We
guys.
really appreciate your time coming to speak about Ohrsom.